everyone, to the Big Blue for You podcast. I am your host, Luke Emberton, and today we're going to talk about Kentucky's win over EKU a little bit. We're also going to preview the game coming up this Saturday against the Akron Zips at 7:30. It is a night game at Kroger Field, the first night game of the year. Night games are always getting me excited. I love night games. There's just something about them that just makes them better. We're also going to touch a little bit on some NFL news. We're going to change it up a little bit on this podcast. We'll also talk a little UFC. And without further ado, if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot around here. And unless you disagree with me, then smash that dislike button. Tell me I'm an idiot in the comments. Don't be minding the sheep, people. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So Kentucky, like I talked about on the Instant Insight, if you haven't seen that video already, the link will be in the description. I go further in depth. I'm going to touch on it here and then preview the game. We won 28-17. The offense was much better in the second half. They really struggled in the first half. The defense, look, man, I don't really know what to say. I don't think that all hope is lost for the season. I still think this can be a really good Kentucky football team. That game against Eastern Kentucky last week kind of felt eerily similar to the University of Tennessee Chattanooga game from 2 years ago. And if you remember that game, Kentucky only won 28-23 against a terrible Chattanooga team. And guess what happened that season? Kentucky won 10 games, including a Citrus Bowl victory over Iowa. So I do think that there is a bit of an overreaction to people thinking that, season's a wash, this is going on, team's terrible, it's not that bad. This team is going to be okay. I do believe that genuinely. I do think there are cause for concerns, though, and I think it's important to talk about those concerns, and mainly we'll start with the offense. One, they still haven't really run the ball particularly well. I think that the offensive line has struggled with run blocking at times. I think they've done a good job of protecting Devin Leary. He was only sacked one time, and that was on fourth down, and that was it was a terrible sack. You got to throw the ball up on fourth down. You cannot take a sack there. I don't care if it's an arm punt. Throw it up. Throw it up to somebody. I don't care what happens after that. But overall, the passing game has looked decent. Devin Leary dealt with some drops. But overall, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 243 yards passing on 24 of 37 is not a bad day at the office at all. So I definitely think that there are some positives to take away from it. Definitely some negatives. One of the positives was obviously Tavian Robinson. He played really well, one of his best games as a Wildcat. Probably his best game, actually. Not just one of the best, probably his best game as a Kentucky Wildcat. He's really the guy that we need to really step up as that third receiving option. And look, he proved it the other day. He can be a primary receiver on a very good team. So we'll see what's in store for this upcoming weekend against the Akron Zips. But I also want to talk about the defense. 6-12 on third down. Yeah, that's not good. You have to get off the field on third down. They have to get off the field. I think that it's just they haven't generated as much pressure. They haven't created as much havoc as I would have liked. And realistically, I think the secondary is just not as strong as it's been in years past. But I think that's something that can be corrected. I think one thing you know about Mark Stoops' teams and Brad White coach defense is that the secondary is usually going to be pretty good. I still think the defense has an immense amount of talent, particularly at the defensive line and in the linebacking core. I think the front seven, I'm not saying that it is better than Georgia's, but I'm not going to say that Georgia's is light years better than Kentucky's, okay? Like, that's the level I think Kentucky's front seven can be at. I just think it comes down to third down defense is really what the problem has been defensively. Basically from the jump, they really need to find a way to get off the field on third down. You can't keep giving up third down conversions. You got to get off the field. You got to get your offense more possessions. And offensively, just to touch on that one more time, speed it up. Stop going so slow. When you're the better team, you need to move a little bit quicker. I'm not saying that, it's a pro-style offense, right? It's a West Coast pro-style offense. They're going to huddle. They're not going to play at Tennessee's breakneck pace. They're not doing an Art Briles style of offense. So they're not going to move as fast as some people will want them to. But can we move a little bit quicker? There's no reason to be snapping the ball with 2 seconds on the play clock. Let's break the huddle a little bit earlier. And sometimes let's snap the ball with 12 seconds on the play clock. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it could actually help. I think it could create more possessions. I think it could give the offense more opportunities. And I think that's something that you might see adjusted in this upcoming game against Akron. Also, one thing we really need to touch on, and I'm kind of disappointed in myself I didn't do it earlier. Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator, had a medical situation. I don't know what it was. I don't want to speculate on anything, but he was admitted into the hospital. He's since been released. He says today he was looking forward to being on the sideline Saturday, so that's some good news. But, just continue to keep Liam Cohen and his family in your thoughts and prayers. He's a guy that we desperately need. I mean, you saw what happened without him last year when we had Rich Scangarello. I mean, it was a disaster. But prayers for his health and his safety. Football is very important, but there's nothing more important than life, and health is a major part of that, and hopefully he is going to be okay. It seems like he is going to be okay. So some slightly good news, but, like I said, keep him in your thoughts and prayers. All right, back to football. Like I said, I pretty much kind of touched on everything I want to touch on as far as that EKU game goes. I want to put it behind us. I don't want to sit there and fret about a game that's in the past. We need to look towards the future. And the future is the Akron Zips. We need to blow these guys out. Right now, Kentucky is a 26-point favorite at home. Again, I don't bet Kentucky games because I would end up betting with my heart, not my head. And you never want to do that. So I would stay away from this game. I would never touch it. That's just my opinion. If you want to gamble, dive into it, have some fun. It's now legal here in Kentucky, so go place your bets and have some fun. But realistically, taking a look at this game, it looks like some team stats. Kentucky has more passes for more yards. Akron rushes for far. Actually, Kentucky rushes for far more. Akron's only averaging 41 yards a game on the ground. So they don't seem to be running the ball too well. They're 102nd in points at 22.5. Now, Akron is 1-1. They have played Morgan State and they played at Temple. They lost to Temple. I don't know if Temple's any good. That's an American Conference team. I don't anticipate that Temple is particularly that good. So I don't think that this is a particularly good Akron team. Akron has some teams that can be really good. It is a MAC school, so a couple things with MAC schools. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be in position to make plays, but Kentucky has the better athletes. You need to win this game. You need to find a way to really kind of impose your will. Blow these guys out. I want a big, big victory before conference play starts against Vanderbilt, and I think a great way to do that is to come out firing on all cylinders in this game. I think you could see that. I really believe that this Kentucky team is going to come out and play with, they're going to play with their ass on fire, as some people would like to say. They're going to come out and they're going to knock some heads around, I hope. Like I said, Akron is very bad offensively. Defensively, they are 39th in the country in total yards. Again, I'm not a yards guy. I believe in points. Really, points per drive is what you look for because that shows efficiency. Whether that's points per drive on offense, points per drive on defense. But all in all, this Akron team's not very good, okay? Their leading passer is a guy named DJ Irons. He is a senior from Georgia. He's thrown for 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Their leading rusher is Drake Anderson, a senior from Arizona. 13 carries, 67 yards. Again, these guys are not very good. There's no excuse for Kentucky to not beat these guys soundly. This really should be a game that Kentucky controls from the second the ball is kicked off. I really want to see Kentucky in this game impose their will. I want to see them be able to throw the ball really well. I want to see them be able to run the ball. Now, Akron's rush defense is 18th in the country, so they might actually have a decent rushing defense. They only give up about 70 yards a game. So if Kentucky still struggles a little bit to run the ball and then kind of picks it up in the second half, that's kind of what I expect, and that's kind of what would make me not be super concerned moving forward. I want to see them really start to impose their will. I think that Devin Leary should have a big day. I think he needs to be able to sling the ball around the yard. And receivers, for the love of God, catch the ball! Catch the ball! If it hits you in the hands, catch it! You got to help your quarterback out sometimes. And, it didn't happen this past Saturday. Again, don't want to reflect on that too much. I want to look forward to what the future holds. And I think the future does hold a pretty big victory. Again, I want to see it. I'm not picking a score on this game. I really do just want to see Kentucky kind of come out and pose their will. I want to see a big victory like 45-10, 52-13. Something that gets me excited. Something that makes me feel like, okay, we're rolling now. That the first 2 games was the first 2 games. let's not worry about it. Let's focus on the now. And the now is that this Kentucky team can really impose their will on this Akron football team, on this Akron Zips team. I really want to see that. I want to see them be able to throw the ball around the yard. I want to see him hit some play action. I want to see Devin Leary throw the ball down the field. I want to see him drive the ball down the field. I want to see Ray Davis as well get another 100 rushing yard game. I think as a team, they're going to play a couple running backs. I want to see 150 yards rushing and 250 yards passing. That's 400 yards of total offense. I want to see Kentucky also win on third down, win the turnover battle. And when I say win on third down, I mean offensively and defensively. Defense, get off the field on third down. Please get off the field on third down. Please. Just please do it. And like I said, turnover battle, I want to see Kentucky win that. That is one positive that I did not mention from the EKU game, is that Kentucky did win the turnover battle 2-1. So I want to see Kentucky continue to win the turnover battle. And like I said, I want to see them win on third down, 150 yards rushing as a team, 250 yards passing, win the turnover battle. Defensively, win the turnover battle goes into that as well. I want to see no special teams mistakes. I want to see the defense get after the quarterback. I want to see 10 TFLs. I want double-digit TFLs as a team. I want 4 sacks, something that did not happen last week. I want 4 sacks, 10 TFLs, and I want this quarterback's completion percentage to be under 60%. Right now on the season, he's 24 of 38. So he's a hair over 60%, 63% in fact. So I want to see this Kentucky secondary limit this Akron offense to less than 60% completion percentage. Yards per carry, I'm going to throw that in there too. Under 4. Under 4 yards a carry is a very realistic goal. So 4 sacks, 10 TFLs. Get off the field on third down. 40% or less is what I'm looking for. Win the turnover battle. And like I said, less than 60% completion percentage. That's really what I want to see from Kentucky. I want to see something, like I said, that gets me excited, that gets me feeling like, okay, now we're rolling. This is what we wanted from the start. It may have taken a couple games, but here we are now. That needs to happen this Saturday night. If you haven't already, be ready to tune in on ESPNU at 7:30. It's a big game, first night game of the season. I love night games. There's so much fun. There's something special about Saturday Night Lights. Everybody wants to talk about Friday Night Lights. I want to talk about Saturday Night Lights in Kroger Field in Lex Vegas. What I love to call it's Lexington, Kentucky, but I call it Lex Vegas because it's my Vegas. It's my favorite place in the world is Saturday nights in Lexington. It is going to be electric. I expect a big crowd, man. I really do. I expect a big crowd. I expect a big performance. The expectation here in Lexington now is to win 8 games a season. You know, something that when Mark Stoops got here, we did not say win 8 games. We just said, for the love of God, can we make a bowl game? Well, after a few 10-win seasons, you know, after making a bowl game every single year, basically, we made 1, 2, 3. So we had the Gator Bowl, Music City, Citrus, Belk, Gator Bowl, Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, Citrus again, Music City. So 7 years in a row? Is that right? 7 years. Yeah, Kentucky's made 7 straight bowl games. I'm counting on the air. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I can't do math, apparently. But 7 straight years of a bowl game. It's not just about making the bowl game. It's about taking that next step into becoming a more elite football program. And this is the season to do it, man. The SEC is down. The SEC is really down this year. Alabama got thoroughly manhandled by Texas. I know it was only a 10-point game, but Texas was never in danger of losing that game. I watched it. I knew for a fact that Texas was going to win in that second half. Alabama is vastly overrated. The entire conference is vastly overrated. This is the year. You want to do something? Look, Georgia is still Georgia, right? If you're looking forward on the schedule for Kentucky, you know, Vandy. Well, you lost to them last year, so there's no guarantee there, okay? But Vandy, Florida, those teams, they're not good. You need to be 5-0 going into the Georgia game. You'll probably get killed, but that's okay. It is what it is. Georgia is Georgia. Until Georgia loses, they're the top. They are the gold standard in college football right now, is where the Georgia Bulldogs lie. Vandy, Florida, terrible. Mizzou, we're going to find out more about Mizzou this weekend. They're playing Kansas State. They host that game, so we'll take a rain check on that one. Tennessee is good. They struggled against Austin Peay, but Tennessee is still Tennessee. Mississippi State, I really don't know what to think about Mississippi State. We never play well in Starkville. But if you're looking at the schedule, if you're 5-0 going into the Vandy game, right, you need to find a way to beat one of, that would be 5-0. You then have games that are winnable against Mizzou, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Louisville. Those would be like 4 games where if you win those games, it's not an upset. That leaves you with Tennessee and Alabama to try to pull off an upset at home. Again, 8 wins is right there. It's right there in front of you. The conference is very bad this year. It's so bad. The conference is terrible, and that's a good thing for Kentucky. If you were creating a perfect storm of what could cause Kentucky to have a season they should not have, basically, speaking historically, that Kentucky should not have, it's a season like this, where your traditional powers are not very good outside of Georgia. That's the one team that you look at and say, don't know if we can win that. Tennessee, very tough game as well, but you get it at home. Same with Alabama. So, again, to have any type of confidence going into conference play, I need to see a big win on Saturday. All right, we're going to go on ahead and touch on one more piece of Kentucky news before we talk about something else, and this is basically, I'm about to go on a rant. I'm very angry about this. The Croatian sensation Big Z. Hashtag free Big Z. Put it in the comments, baby. Put it down in the comments. UK admissions, you need to free Big Z. So for those that don't know, I talked about this on the first episode of the Big Blue for You podcast. So I'm going to touch on it again here real quick. Big Z is a Croatian basketball player that was given a scholarship by John Calipari. He's committed to the University of Kentucky. He wants to be here. The problem is he's not here right now. The reason why he's not here is because he can't get a student visa. To get a student visa, he needs to be admitted into a university, and he can literally be here in the next couple days. Now, this could age very poorly because I'm recording this on Tuesday night at about 9:30. So this very well could age poorly, and you would see that this guy gets admitted even after this rant, but I'm still going to go ahead and leave the rant in. For some reason, he has not been admitted. Nobody is really I don't know why. I have no insight. I know nothing. I don't know anything about this. It doesn't make any sense why he's not admitted. People that know more than me are saying the same thing. It doesn't make any sense. It seems to be a power trip between the basketball staff and the UK admissions office. Basically, the basketball staff is saying, let him in, and the UK admissions office is saying, no, we don't have to do that if we don't want to. Which is bullcrap! This guy's a basketball player! Let him in! Basketball players deserve preferential treatment. We have a 96% admission rate into the University of Kentucky. It's the highest in the SEC, by the way. Let me say that again. It's the highest admission rate in the Southeastern Conference. Let this guy in. Let him in. He wants to play basketball. Basketball players deserve preferential treatment. All athletes deserve preferential treatment at the university, especially a kid that's trying to come from overseas to come here to get an American education and be embraced in American values by the gold standard of college basketball in the most beautiful city in America, in Lexington, Kentucky. And you're going to rob him because you want to have a power trip? UK admissions, you absolutely suck! All right, I might need a Prozac. I'm just going to take a sip of my Dr. Pepper here, but... Okay. All right, I'm good now. I got that out. I just want to say, put it in the comments. Hashtag free Big Z. Okay, now we're going to talk some NFL. Woo! NFL! NFL season is back. I'm a huge Green Bay Packers fan, for those of you all that don't know. Let me know if you want to see some more NFL content. Let me know. I'll do more little videos talking about the NFL week. The Green Bay Packers absolutely dominated the Chicago Bears. That made me very happy. But the biggest story of the weekend, without a doubt, is Aaron Rodgers. And, as a Green Bay Packers fan, I grew up and I saw the end of the Favre era. and I saw into the Aaron Rodgers era, and basically that was my whole life. He's a guy who won a Super Bowl in Green Bay, our most recent Super Bowl, and he completely tore his Achilles. That is, without a doubt, very sad for me as a guy who likes, respects, and admires Aaron Rodgers and appreciates everything he did for my Green Bay Packers. For all of those years, we were the kings of the division, the NFC North, and him completely tearing his Achilles is very sad. Now, he says he's not done. He says he wants to rehab ASAP, and he wants to try to make a comeback next year. And I'll say this, I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put anything past Aaron Rodgers. That guy still has some magic left, but he was hurt literally on the first series of his Jets career, and again, that's, it hurts. It's sad. It's really sad in my opinion. Again, I really like this guy. I wanted him to do well there. The poor New York Jets, man. Talk about a franchise that's cursed. I don't think they've had good quarterback play since, Vinny Testaverde? And he wasn't even that good. We have to go back to Ken O'Brien. The guy that was drafted before one of the guys drafted before Dan Marino was by Miami. It's been a long, rough time for Jets fans, and you definitely feel for them. J.K. Dobbins also, in other news and injury news, tore his Achilles. Again, it's not something you ever want to see. But the game of the weekend, without a shadow of a doubt, there was two of them, in my opinion. Chargers and Dolphins. Absolutely sensational game. Tua was amazing. Tyreek Hill had a massive day, over 200 yards receiving. There's so much speed on that Miami team, man. I mean, that is a disgustingly good team. Very, very hard to deal with that team. Chargers, again, poor Justin Herbert is the new Phillip Rivers. He's stuck. He's stuck on the Chargers, and they just can't win games, which is really sad. But also, the other game of the weekend was, ironically, the Jets and the Bills. Josh Allen was terrible, turned the ball over 1,000 times, and the New York Jets found a way to win, even after the Rodgers injury. Zach Wilson did enough, came in, did enough. Punt return touchdown, one of the most exciting things. I watched it on the Manning Cast. Manning Cast is probably the greatest invention and the greatest way to consume sports television that I have seen in a long time. It's very fun. Hey, buddy. Come here, buddy. Oh, I know you want to whine, but hello. Everybody say hi to Mr. Chuck. Can you say hi to the camera? Oh, Bubba's. Oh. You don't want to say hi? You just want to stick your tail in the air and stuff? You don't want to put your face on the camera? Okay, buddy. We'll do the rest of the show like this, I guess. Oh, there he goes. Poor little guy. But anyways, great weekend in the NFL. It was very exciting. Great first weekend. Yeah, a lot of fun. Not much else to say about that, so I'm going to talk some UFC news. So, the big fight over the weekend. Israel Adesanya, in one of the biggest upsets I have ever seen, got absolutely pieced up by Sean Strickland. Whether you like Sean Strickland or not, it doesn't matter. He beat the crap out of Israel Adesanya. And for those of you that don't know, Sean Strickland has such a weird style, man. His only training that he does is sparring. Like, he doesn't actually train like a normal person. He's not working the pads. He's not working the heavy bag and stuff. He just spars. He spars in 4-ounce gloves. It's not something you see. His style, he has a Philly shell defense, a classic boxing Philly shell defense, something that Floyd Mayweather mastered for years. And it seems like Sean Strickland has mastered it too. He stands straight up. It was a matchup nightmare for Israel Adesanya, who couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. He didn't land any significant punches that did any significant damage. Sean Strickland basically looked like he didn't even get a scratch on his face. I mean, he beat the crap out of Israel Adesanya over 5 rounds in one of the most dominant upset performances I've ever seen in my life. Shout out Sean Strickland. Terrific. Whether you like the guy or not, the guy's a complete psychopath, but he's a great fighter. It was very, very exciting. What else do we have to look forward to this weekend? I already talked about Kentucky and Akron. What else do we have here? Let's take a look at the SEC. as I get this pulled up. I know I'm terrible. I know. What else is going around in the SEC? Alabama takes on South Florida. Boring game. Don't care. LSU and Mississippi State. I don't really know if this game tells you one thing or another about either of these teams. If LSU gets killed, then we know they're not very good. But they are favored by 9.5 points. The game is in Starkville. It's at noon. Like I said, Kansas State, Mizzou, I ended up mentioning this game. This is a very big game for Missouri. This is a chance for them to knock off a top 15 team at home, a chance for them to gain some respect within the conference. That should be a very exciting game. That game's also at noon. Georgia and South Carolina is the big CBS game. Georgia by about 85,000 in that game. That's going to be a absolute beatdown. Tennessee, Florida is another big game. Florida really has a lot to prove. I expect Tennessee to kind of just roll through them, though. The rest of these games, nothing too exciting. So, again, the SEC is not having a super exciting week. The slate of games this whole weekend is just not that great, but you know what game is going to be great when Kentucky smacks the crap out of the Akron Zips, and it's something to be very excited for. I think that's going to do it for this episode. I don't really have anything else I want to talk about. Let me know what you want to talk about in the comments down below. Also, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, comment on this video. Unless you disagree with me, then you know what you do. You smash that dislike button. You tell me I'm an idiot in the comments. Don't be buying the sheep, people. And this is it for this edition of the Big Blue for You podcast. I am your host, Luke Emberton, signing off. Peace.